Yes, indeed.
Okay, all right, here we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Beth, and I'm with the Austin Technology Council, head of sales. Very excited to have Alex Siegler from Place Technologies with us today on a call. So, Alex, I'm going to go ahead and leave it over to you.
Thanks, Beth. Excited to be here. Happy Friday to everybody in the audience, and hope you're having a good week for anyone who listens later. As Beth mentioned, I am Alex Siegler. I help to run alliances and partnerships at Place Technology, and we are a software company. Our Salesforce app is called PlaceCPM. It enables businesses and finance leaders to accelerate their financial projections and analysis workflows and access updated financial metrics on demand so they can make better business decisions. And excitingly, today I'm joined by Jay Kimmelman. He is a Xero National Ambassador and a two-time PlaceCPM customer. He's at the intersection of accounting and operations, and his business helps to unify data and workflows, and he is running businesses that essentially help small business owners, but also help other accounting firms to be more technologically savvy and efficient and better serve all of their customers. So Jay, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Alex. Great introduction there. Thanks.
All right. You can tell I didn't quite practice it, but but we know each other, so it's all good.
Exactly.
So I mentioned you're a Xero National Ambassador, and many people might not know what that means. So maybe help us understand a little bit what it means to be a Xero National Ambassador.
Sure. So, I started my accounting journey back in 2011, and it was shortly thereafter I came across Xero and just really fell in love with the software because it really made my job so much easier and allowed me to do so much more. And since that time, I've been evangelizing that product and, went through, all the education there. And I'm like, hey, I want to take it to the next level. And, I joined a program called Zen there, which was Xero Experts Network. And next thing you know, I got a phone call and said, hey, we want you to be an ambassador. And I'm like, great, where do I start? And I jumped right in. And, the beauty of it is, I'm just helping others in my industry that are confused or they're not sure about the cloud or, the technology might not be what they're used to. And, we accountants, we hate change. So, I went through the change and I went through the journey, and I want to help other firms as well as my clients. I work with e-commerce companies. I want to help them avoid the pitfalls of making the move from traditional accounting and making that jump to the cloud. And whether it's, selling online on Shopify or working with other accountants trying to sell their services and helping them build the automations, that's what it's all about, and making their life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the world these days has so many different software platforms and different systems for anyone to use, but especially in the accounting world. And it's hard for accountants who are used to, a rigid way of doing accounting just by nature of the practice to really navigate that world. And it sounds like you've really been somebody who's gone through the fire a few times and come out a better business person in general, and somebody who others look up to in terms of the technology that you use.
Yeah, so true. And, I've been into the IT side of accounting since I really got into it. And, one of my jobs, I worked at a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant as the CIO, the CFO, you name it, I did it. And that was my first true experience doing integration. And they started out, they were using QuickBooks on the desktop. And the owner's the owner's mother was in her 80s and everything was up here. So my job was to get it out of here onto there and get things rolling. And, that was my first foray into integration. And, I learned, first of all, we were using QuickBooks at the time. We jumped to some SQL databases, Mass 90, which is Mass 200 now. And we were, pretty much pushing data back and forth between the databases. And that was it, no more keying. And that's just awesome because no time, no errors. It's magic.
Certainly is. And leaves you more time as an accountant to do the real accounting work rather than and the advisory piece, if that's something that you're looking to get into, which is where, you really earn the trust of customers and you can help them improve their business.
And that's truly it today. We want to automate as much as possible. So we're not taking the time to do the data entry so that we can spend the time with the client going over things that matter, whether it's their goals in life, their business goals. They want to retire. They want to spend more time with their family. They want to increase their revenue. That's what we want to help. It's not getting the numbers into the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that really brings us to the first piece of our topic today. You are a customer. Both of your organizations are customers of PlaceCPM. You're using PlaceCPM, and we hope that we can make you an evangelist by really providing you with great tools for what our software helps do, which is financial forecasting and just better decision making based off of that forecasting. So for the audience, tell us a little bit about what attracted you to Place Technology's platform, PlaceCPM.
Well, to be totally honest, I knew nothing about it until one of the Xero staff members in Austin, Brad Gustafson, said to me, "Hey, I need you to meet with this company. They have this awesome product and it integrates with Xero, and we want you to rip it apart and tell us what you really think about it." And I'm like, sure, any opportunity to look at new software, I will take it, because I am a tech junkie. I'm a self-professed recurring appaholic. So I will look at software. I love playing with new tools and getting the latest stuff. So, I jumped at the opportunity, and as I'm going through it, I'm sitting there in amazement at what this tool is doing. And from that point, I had to justify, bringing on this tool when we had a perfectly good CRM and marketing automation tool that we had just gotten into late last year. And going through it, it's like, this is magic. And, I've always been afraid of that word Salesforce. It's too big of an animal. Well, really, it really wasn't. Going through it with the guys at Place, they're like, this is how this works, and this is how this works. And it's like, oh, okay. And it all came together. And, it's all about building those automations and getting the data where we want it. So you all hooked me up with Greg from Blueprint, and I think he was on last week or on your last show.
A couple webinars ago. Yeah. Blueprint's
and, we've had a couple conversations with them, and next thing you know, we have the data coming off our website, going into Salesforce, and, building out all the automations that we had before. So yeah, now we keep breaking the tools that we're using, but we're building it up and getting better and better at it, and getting better tools and getting much more automation on the sales side of our business. And that allows us to spend more time on the operations of the business. And part of that operations is working with our clients. And that's where we truly want to spend the time. Not on the front end. We want to bring the leads through the process, turn them into clients, and then really deliver to them at that point. And, if we're not spending time at every step of that sales process, it helps. And it frees us up to actually deliver excellent experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you touched on something, which was the tools you use not only for like doing client work, but also for managing clients, your CRM, and you mentioned Salesforce. And for those in the audience who are unfamiliar with PlaceCPM, this is a Salesforce app. So inside Salesforce, you install PlaceCPM, and what it does is it brings in your accounting data from Xero and QuickBooks. And so we're talking on the Xero side here, and that's really where you focus, Jay. And so, partners at CPA firms and more broadly, professional services firms, small to medium-sized ones, they're sometimes reluctant to invest in Salesforce, much less to connect their own Xero accounting data to it if they do. So what's your view on that?
Oh, I have been a fan of the CRM since I started because, we got to look at it as a business operation, not as an accounting firm. First and foremost, we are a business and we have a sales side. We have to be able to track the leads coming in. We need to track the process, know where we are in that process, know what opportunities we have, what proposals or deals are out there, and where they stand. And, we want to know at a glance where we stand at any given time. And that's what's most important there. We are running a business. It's not just an accounting firm. And, as such, I am an entrepreneur. Like you said, my two businesses, actually, I have a few others that aren't specifically related that need a CRM. But, I do have 2, 3, 4 businesses out there. So as an entrepreneur, I want to know where I stand, and I want to do it like Xero. I want to see where my financials sit, and I want to see where my sales and business development side are.
Yeah, and you want to be able to better predict that as well, what things will look like in the future.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. And not only based on the past, which is, what typical accounting functions look like is what happened in the past, but also based on scenarios for the future and what things could look like, which in times of COVID, as we're in right now, I heard the quote the other day of, you should no longer be forecasting right now. You should be building scenarios, because how can you truly forecast with everything going on in the world today?
Exactly. Yeah, and you're building multiple forecasts, and that's what you're basically doing is saying, best case scenario, we're going to, and in some situations you're looking, best cases, you're bringing on X number of clients. In some cases, we're only losing this many. So, that's where you really have to have the flexibility and the data to really, really hone in and be able to build those forecasts and know your scenarios very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And a major advantage that you've mentioned to me before of having PlaceCPM for your own businesses was your on-demand access to key KPIs. And you've mentioned to me a term or a method called traction, a way that you run your business. Can you explain a little bit about traction and how you use that?
Sure. So traction is a methodology of running a company. It's based on the entrepreneurial operating system. And, what the digital CPA was a year ago, I had my hands in 10 different aspects of the business, and I'm doing all these different functions. Well, with traction, we want to be able to get our hands around it and actually get the right people in the right place to be able to get the job done. And from my perspective, it's removing me from all of those places that I'm becoming the roadblock in the process. As the owner of the firm, I shouldn't be down working on all of these client level processes. I should be up here, doing the business development, making the design the future of the firm and where we're heading, and have the people below me doing all of that work. And basically, by driving the vision of this, I'm able to give a picture of where we're going. And by freeing myself up to do that, it's giving us so much clarity. And actually, the best way I could put it is, I had a leadership meeting today, and they're like, over the last 3 months, there's been so much clarity into what we are doing and our processes that things have opened wide up, and we all know what we're doing and where we're heading. And I got to say, that's exactly what we wanted. And, where all of this comes into play is, one of the things is on our weekly meetings, we should have a scorecard. And you mentioned the KPIs. Well, that's what we're doing right now is we're building out a dashboard in Salesforce of all of the information. And not only can we pull in our leads and our opportunities and deals, but we can also pull in some of that financial data and it's going to put everything at a glance, and it's going to give us a really sharp idea of where we stand at a moment's notice. And we're going to look at this on a weekly basis and know exactly where we've been and what's in the pipeline, so we know where we're heading. And having that clarity is what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you look at, let's say that you're using data from PlaceCPM for decision making, right? You're thinking about, can we do X, Y, or Z? What are some examples of how you use the data there? Like maybe it's your cash flow projections or your P&L projections. How are you using that data right now, or in the future, how do you anticipate using that data for decision making, and what type of decisions?
So what we've looked at right now is we're looking at putting in some marketing dollars to grow the revenue. And we want to make sure that the cash flow coming in is going to cover that, because we know there's going to be a lag until the revenue starts flowing from those marketing dollars. So, we can look at what we're currently running and what's forecasted, and when we plan on bringing those clients in, to know where we stand with cash flow. So that is going to help at that perspective. And then by having our forecast that's built already, we can predict when we're going to need to bring on other resources, what cash outlay there's going to be, because, having a training plan for bringing on new staff and more resources, we know it's going to be probably 4 weeks before we can turn something over to an employee where we can free up other resources to take on that work. So we want to make sure we have the cash flow in place so that we can bring the staff in when we need them, so they're ready to hit the ground running when the clients are coming on. So, having tools to allow us to forecast that is just so important. We cannot do it without it.
Yeah. And for the folks who are also on your leadership team, that you work closely with, how do you anticipate them being able to use that type of cash flow data? Is it, for example, something that you expect them to maybe become more self-sufficient in terms of decision making based off of that data that they have coming in?
That's part of it. The whole part of traction is to have transparency in finance. So, we've opened up the books to everybody in the company, and everybody can see where we stand at any given moment. And I think it's really important because it gives them some ownership in what they're doing. And, like you said, it gives them the freedom to make some decisions. And if you put some parameters around those decisions and say, you have a limit up to X dollars, go ahead and, make it happen. But anything over that, they know that, there's an approval process, and they're going to come and run it through the ladder, and, we'll flow it through the leadership. And, at that point, make it happen. And that's what it's about, giving everybody the authority along with the responsibility to get it done.
Yeah. I want to continue down that thread of transparency, and maybe your opinion of how you see others run their business that may be lacking in that type of transparency. You have had over your career the opportunity to see lots of businesses and see how many owners of those businesses operate. So when it comes to those owners being transparent with their employees about the finances, for instance, that can be one of those things that owners like to keep close to their chest, because they don't want employees to know certain details about the business that they're working in.
Yep.
What do you have to say to those owners who are hesitant to offer that type of transparency?
So the best advice I've given in that situation is, you have to trust your employees, and you've brought them in. They're actually working in a part of you. I mean, my business is an extension of me. So I know that every employee I have is pretty much an extension of me as well. And I trust them with what their decisions are. And I stick with them with that. So when I'm talking to a client that's going through some of that issues, and I think going back to COVID and talking through some of the clients with some of the cash flow issues that they were having. And when they were talking about layoffs and, just pushing people, I can't think of the word right now.
Furlough.
Having to furlough employees. Have that conversation with them and let them know where you stand, because don't let them think that it's fear driving you. These are the realities of a business owner. And when you're looking at either shutting the doors and permanently risking your employees' jobs versus furloughing half your staff, trying to keep it going, and being open and honest with them and telling them, hey, this is my plan. This is where we are. This is what we expect. Now, our expectations might change because we don't know what's coming, but be open and honest and have open communication. And I think that is the key, is having that communication and letting them know where they stand at any moment. And, let's say you made that decision to do the furlough. Well, have a touch point every couple of weeks and make sure they know where you stand and what your thoughts are. And, okay, I think it's going to last a little longer, or I think, hey, business is starting to pick up. Let's bring you in a little sooner so we can actually fix that and get things really rolling and get things in place. One of our clients was going through that, and it pretty much shut down for about 6 weeks, and they're contemplating opening back up, and they had applied for a PPP. And I'm like, you're going to have to use the funds and be able to show that you've used it to keep people on. This is before the change happened, when it got expanded. And the conversation that we had was, why don't you bring your people in and do a really deep dive and train them really well leading into this reopening, and just let them really get their feet wet. And because they did have a lot of newer staff. So this gave them the opportunity to give them some more experience and more education, and allow them to not only service their customers better, but feel better about it. And what we've noticed since then, their sales have been increasing, but their profit has been increasing at a greater rate. And they have a lower staff level, but the staff that are there are actually overperforming. And because they invested in them and kept them up to date on where they were through the process, it just flowed. And because they feel their boss felt and cared for them, they turned that around, and they, like I said, they are working on my business and it's a part of me. So they really care about their boss at the same time. So it really came full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great story. I mean, I think there's so many business owners out there who have been in this situation where they're laying people off or furloughing people, and it's the first time they've ever had to do something like that. So, not having the guidance and not having a template for how to do that, and then how to communicate with people past that furlough can be difficult. But when you come from a place of transparency and communication, it sounds like that's what's most effective, and can almost end up in making your business better than it was before any of this happened.
Completely. And you've built a greater trust with your staff.
Exactly.
So that's what you're doing, is really building that trust.
Yeah, and that's not to gloss over either. Like, when you're talking about company finances, there are always going to be some of those details that are sensitive that not every employee should be privy to, such as other employees' salaries.
Right.
And in Place Technology, by the power of Salesforce, it gives you these role-based permissions. So, an example might be how you're able to have this kind of, like, if we want to call it this God mode view, or like the administrator view of all of your data inside Place for your financial forecasts, but you may have others within the company who shouldn't have certain access. What's your experience been in terms of controlling that access within Salesforce and PlaceCPM, and how that's manifested?
Yeah, so far it's just the leadership team that's got access to it. So we haven't really played all that much with it from that perspective. As we're building this out and we're heading through probably November, December timeframe, we'll have a little more time. This has been the craziest year for us because we've had a tax season get extended from April to July. And in the middle of all that, dealing with all the craziness of all of the subsidies and the relief bills and all of that other information. So it kept us super busy. So normally we had a summer slowdown. We've not had it, and we're coming to the end of our tax season here with extensions coming finally due here in October 15th. So after that, we're going to kick our feet back a little bit and start looking at some of the tools and actually diving into it and seeing how we can actually utilize them a little bit better.
Yeah, hope you get a bit of a vacation. It's probably been a crazier year just like for everyone, but especially for accountants where your deadline is usually that, April 15th or June 15th, but now you're here at October where it seems like it's probably been a bit of a slog. So I hope you all do get some well-deserved R&R.
Most definitely.
So one last question here. Accountants are a different breed, right? They tend to believe they're great at forecasting for their own firm. So if they're so great at doing that, why do they need tools, that help them to improve the processes for doing their cash-based or just financial forecasts in general?
Well, any good accountant's going to tell you, just give them an Excel spreadsheet and they'll get it done. But, I've been there. I've built out budget models and forecasts in Excel and almost built it to the capabilities of the platform where it took like 6 minutes for it to update all the formulas in there. But having it in the cloud, easily available on any device, I don't have to worry about that. I mean, it's just right there and I can access it at any time. And if I need to make some changes, it's right there. And if I need to get information about a client, it's all right there. If I want to contact a lead, it's all right there. And that's what it's all about. It's operating our business anytime, anywhere, on any device. And that's what the digital CPA and your digital practice is going to do. So yeah, that's it.
That's well said. It's great. That's some great insight, and those are some of the reasons we're so passionate about the automation, as you are, that PlaceCPM brings to FP&A and those business planning workflows. So, it's been awesome chatting with you again here today, Jay. Thank you so much for joining. For the audience, find Jay and his companies at yourdigitalpractice.com. If you are an accounting firm partner or owner, that is a fantastic resource for helping to automate your processes so you can become a closer advisor to your clients. And of course, please check out Place Technology and PlaceCPM, our flagship product for helping out with your financial forecasting and your cash forecasting, scenario building, all within the power of Salesforce. So more information about us can be found on our website, PlaceTechnology.com. Find us on socials at PlaceTechnology. And everybody, hope you have a fantastic rest of your Friday and a great weekend. And I will turn it over to Beth with ATC. I think you're muted there.
Of course. So,
all right.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Alex. Definitely appreciate you all presenting this afternoon. So everybody, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Austin Technology Council. It's info@austintechnologycouncil.org. So have a great weekend and we will see you soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.